And a very good morning, folks. We're back. I'm gonna have to squeeze these vlogs in whenever I get the chance, because I can never do it at the end of the day. I'm trying to fight that last bit of light to get a bird in, and I got a really good one last night, which was a white-tailed kite. We were coming back from, let me get this right, Elkhorn and Moss Landing. Yeah, just saw it hovering like a kestrel, but with much larger wings. And I thought, do they get the black-winged kite here? So I ChatGPT'd it, and it said over there, very often you'll see the white-tailed is quite common here, basically. So that's a new species. Bit of video as I had to pull off the side, the highway to get it on the other side of the road. But anyway, we're jumping forwards and backwards a bit here. So a bit of a calmer day after all the trip here to the US and then jumping on the whale watching boat. But we still packed stuff in. We went for a drive. My wife had church at 5 o'clock, so we found the church local to this place, Moss Landing, which we saw from the boat, the whale watching boat. Now, when we went to Monterey on the whale watching trip there, we went out and it took about an hour to get to the spot where the whales were seen in their numbers. And Anna said, what's that area over there? And I looked at it, because very sandy, duney, and looked it up and it said Moss Landing. I went, oh, so I wonder if they do whale watching trips from there, because then you wouldn't have to travel out as far. So I looked in the area and I thought we'd go there for a coffee, check it out, and try this place called Elkhorn Slough Reserve, inland. I thought, okay, you know, might be some reservoirs and things like that, other things to look at. Then we'll go down to the coast. So we went to the breakfast club and had a steak and eggs for breakfast. That sorted us right out for the day. We're going to go and do that now. So I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've just done my bird news podcast. I sat in the car so I could talk loudly, and I'm hoping I'm not too loud out here in the motel area. I'll probably have to, probably speaking a little bit quietly. I'll have to lamp up the volume. I remember, who's that idiot talking outside our room? It's pretty well soundproofed here. But the Elkhorn Slough Reserve, it's like walking in nature, outdoor area. And it was 25 degrees yesterday. And we agreed we'd be cooked if we went for a walk. Just use the car as a hide with the air conditioning and drive around and explore. So let me look down here. At the reserve, there are white crowned sparrows everywhere. Those are the bird. I'm always pointing my camera going, what's that new bird? And it's not. It's always the white crowned sparrows. They are the sparrow, or the common bird here, the common small bird here that you see everywhere. It's often, and the female doesn't have all the white bits. She looks more like a savanna sparrow, if you know what one of those are, or a song sparrow if you're from the US. I think it's a western fence lizard, very common here, blue underside, very sharpy, scaly. And when I was asking ChatGPT what it is, I could have put it through the Google lens, but I was just doing other things, and I described it. I said it looks a bit like those ones in the Galapagos with the sharp scales, very sharp scales, even though it was tiny. It looked like it had just been eating with some crumbs on its mouth. But there was nothing going on there. I could see water in the distance, lakes, and sure enough, when we went down there, so heat hazy, so it wasn't even worth much photography. I just looked at it and went, we'll just get some stills, some quick video for record purposes, because I did get a lifer, a big flock of American white pelicans. I thought they might be sort of juveniles or something of the brown pelican, but they're not. I looked it up. White pelicans, American white pelicans, another new species. And all around this heat hazy pond, I could see cormorants, shovelers, my first American rat avocets here. Yeah, other things could have been willets, marbled godwits, things like that. I thought, okay, I'll get them at some other point, but there's just no point filming here. The heat haze was horrendous. I did go in to this fishing area, and there were terns fishing. Now it's showing up as elegant tern. I'm not sure if that's correct. Merlin has been a bit awful on this trip with getting IDs correct, but it's kind of orange bill. And then we just took a couple of pictures of those, went to turn around and go out. And Anna said, oh, what's that? In a small puddle of water, there was a little plover. Killdeer. Straight away I knew from the red eye ring, there was a killdeer. Seen them in several places, St. Lucia, Dominican Republic. So hung out the window and filmed that for a little bit till I was happy with it. It kept looking up, which obviously must be, with all there were so many red-tailed hawks everywhere. And obviously later on, like I said, with the white-tailed kite, very kestrel-like with longer wings. And I did get an American kestrel And it's very cool to see noticeably how the chest is more streaked than the one I got in Jamaica, where somebody said to me, "Oh, that looks very pale. It might be a Cuban kestrel." I had to look it up. Sure enough, the American ones have more streaking on the chest and a darker. The other markings are darker as well. You notice the difference. It was a scruffy looking kestrel. I was hunting around this coffee shop we stopped at, which is like a little oasis. So I'll put it up on the map if you're in the Moss Landing area. A really nice trendy coffee shop with plants inside, people working on their laptops, all the coders and that from probably up the road in Silicon Valley. And you got a sandwich and had some coffee. I did some editing to get out of the heat. But yeah, like I said, I forgot this bit of footage from when we were in Monterey. A couple of red-tailed hawks being chased by crows when we were sitting outside having a coffee overlooking the harbour. For the sake of it, I was there, I filmed it, and they were chasing them just like they do our buzzards. It's basically the same bird. And now I'm starting to get pictures of this, like this one on a post with the red tail. It's a little streak of like orangey red. But if they're about, I will film them for the sake of, just bulking up some footage and putting stuff over the top of me waffling. And I think, so went into this marina, was checking out the Moss Landing. We have now booked to go today on another whale watching trip. So it's about 2.5 to 3 hours, a bit shorter, and hopefully we just see them as soon as we go out, fingers crossed, and we get to see the difference in the boats from this marina and the other, Monterey, the bigger one, and what the difference is. And this one was $75, still as pricey, adds up with a little bit of tax and fees. But that's going to be really good because I like the birds out to sea, and I want to get like albatrosses and any other strays, divers, things like that. I know I'm going to get time with the shorebirds because when we were driving around Moss Landing, the heat haze was very hot, was very bad. And the strength of the sun was strong and the shadows were strong. And now I could see, I drove into the Moss Landing area and there's all these marshes packed with shorebirds, all the ones I saw from Los Angeles. Hundreds of the least, as soon as I saw them, they looked like bugs, least sandpipers, hundreds of them. Several of the long-billed curlews. I could see willets. I thought they were, I took a picture, I thought they were, I couldn't tell, they were small beaks flying in a flock, which when I was in Los Angeles last time, birds flocking like this, about this size, were the long-billed dowitchers. So I said, what's with this short beak? And I put it into Merlin, it was saying red knots, and I was like, I can't be. And I thought, of course they're red, they're here, aren't they? Of course they are. But they are an American bird. So legit that Merlin got that did get that one right. But I just did loads of filming and loads of photos of all the birds, the willets going around all over the place, beautiful in flight with the white bits on the wings. The plenty of marbled godwits. I was getting, it's still harsh lighting. I'd like a little bit of cloud just to bring out the proper color and have the highlights not being blown, all the little reflections of the sun on the shinier bits not being blown out. What else moving around there? Yeah, I could see the long-billed dowitchers as well. They were in there having a preen. I think they were there. I think that's them because these were backlit. Then, yeah, the snowy egret, finally got a bit of video of that with some marbled godwits. Grey plovers, I don't think I filmed any of those, but the grey plovers, I thought I can get those in the UK, don't make a fuss. So yeah, we went into the car park of the Moss Landing to look for where we're going to come today. And in there, great, finally, some belted kingfisher footage, because in Costa Rica, one landed in front of me and my battery was dead. And I was gutted, and I've been like a dog with a bone since, wanting to get better footage of these belted kingfishers and photos. And I just lay up. It was on a boat, on a mast, horrible lighting, but it's there, it's filling the frame. Happy days, lovely bird. So they're everywhere. They seem to love marinas, lots of places for them to perch. Yeah, and then also around the back of there, we saw the sea otters just doing the thing, where it's kind of scratching its chest, preening itself, rubbing its face. Just a little bit of footage of that. Hope I don't get a citation and they cover the car park with cameras, because I just drove in and I didn't get a permit. I just kind of drove around. Yeah, and I saw the cameras and I went, what excuses can I make if they pull up they send me something and I say, oh, I was going in to find out what the parking costs were and where our whale watching thing was when we come back tomorrow. So that'll be the thing. I think I was in there for 10 minutes. fingers crossed. I did get a fine here many years ago for speeding, only about 11 miles over, and it was hundreds of dollars. Yeah, don't speed here. Right, so yeah, and then like I said, we went out. When I dropped my wife off at church, I drove around a bit, and there were these little, they looked like long-tailed tits on plants, and I felt really awkward. Sorry, near the airport here. I felt really awkward taking pictures outside someone's house. Yeah, you want to be careful. But these small birds, I was firing away. I'll get anything for identification. And later on, I found out that it's a very possible American bush tit, which makes that a lifer. So the picture I got doesn't show the eyes, but I've got it for record purposes, and it's a good chance it will show up again. Apparently very common here, and they feed in bushes and trees like our long-tailed tit. Fingers crossed. So I think that's yesterday caught up. A shorter day, less getting done, less seen. It was a bit hot. Yesterday was the hotter day at 25 degrees Celsius. Today's going to be 21, tomorrow 23. So I said, let's go on Sunday because it's cooler. And when you're on the open water, it can get a bit hot. And I think with lower temperatures there's more swells in the ocean, which produce better birds and whales, things like that. Anyway, I'm waffling on a bit here. I love that word, waffling. You guys don't have that in America. What would the American term be? Let me pick a film. I can't think of them. I'm under too much pressure. Look, I'm going to cut this off before I embarrass myself even more, and I'll speak to you in the next update.